let's jump right into it. Yeah, you've been in the industry for what? For how long? I would like you to give us a rundown of your journey, how you got into the industry, and how it has been so far. Your journey so far.
You mean the whole writing or publishing?
Both.
Okay, so I think I started writing casually around maybe in early 90s. It was a kind of a getaway for me, basically. At that point, I had only books as friends. I was staying with my dad, and I didn't do much of going out to see friends. So books, of course. And then when you read a lot of books, you tend to want to write your own. I used to draw then. I drew a lot of footballers then, all the superstars, all them Keshi, Nwako. I drew all of them those days before I now moved away from drawing to carving. So I've done all kinds of art but I boiled it down to writing eventually. I think it was in 2001 that I saw that I was actually writing something useful. A lecturer, a teacher who was a copper then, he was a youth copper, but our teacher then started a literary club in the school, and they used my script.
What school was that?
International Secondary School, Port Harcourt.
Okay.
That was like long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was when I thought, okay, maybe I could write. That was the realization that, okay, what I was putting down was useful. So I would say that was my first attempt at writing, 2001 or so. Then when I got into the university, 2001, 2, I started writing more seriously. Then it's something I did regularly. I wrote tons of stuff in my notebooks, even during lectures, you write and all of those things. But real serious writing did not begin for me until around maybe 2008, 9, like writing towards having a book. And then my first book, 2013, that was what took me to publishing. I had some experience. It was a very published book, but then we had some issues. And I just realized that Nigerian writers do not really have any support system. And then I thought I could start something which moved me into publishing. But before publishing, it was more of a support group initially, 2012, 13, 14, then 15, it became, okay, this could actually be a business and a support system. And then the whole company thing came up in 2015. And been there, and now ideas keep coming up. We've been doing a lot of things. So that's a rundown.
I remember what rhyme I'm reading from way back.
Yeah.
Back then it was Facebook, it was a Facebook page, and then we'd go there and
comment,
the
write
whole
poems.
tagging thing. You had this very annoying business of tagging.
Those days.
Yeah.
But then it was important to do that at that point. You know, at some point, poetry was just for a few people. 2012, if you were a poet, people look at you like, oh, this guy's a poet. I was so popular then, you would think I was Erica of Big Big Brother Nigeria. Yeah, but you know how it was then. You are a poet. Everybody, you used to write poetry. But then it was just these 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 people. People see poetry now and say there are too many people doing poetry. They should have seen it 10 years ago or 8 years ago when it was just, we could know, everybody knew who was a poet on their timeline. And then we were just an elite group of people with thinking differently. So that tagging was a way to rope in more people, and it worked. A lot of people came into reading poetry, listening to poetry because they've tagged them. What is it in the tag? And then they look at it and they like it.
No, I know. I'm just saying for me personally.
Yes.
You know, I actually brought it up with you. I was like, guy, wait up now. Why you tag me everything? So I'm not saying that it's a testimony to the growth.
Mm-hmm.
How
we had to tag people then. We had to force people to come and read. And I don't think I've tagged anybody in the past 4 years in anything on my personal timeline or on any of the pages. But everything is working because the industry was dead. The industry was dead.
No, there was. I don't think in terms. Do you think that there was an industry, so to speak?
Well, there was actually an industry for literature, generally. But if you look at competitions, if you look at books that were coming out, they were all either they were fiction work. There's no competition that comes out then that was not a competition about fiction. If it's not fiction, we were the one that started all those competitions of poetry, and people started picking it up, and we started with 200 naira airtime, 500 naira airtime before it started getting big. Yep. Poetry, it wasn't anything. Poetry, what is poetry? But it grew big, and what is needing that same attention now is drama. I was talking to somebody about it a few days ago, that many people don't even know how to write drama. They just think once you have name and dialogue is the drama. But there are a lot of things. So no, the same way poetry was, like, what are people writing? And it's now everybody's writing poetry. That's how we need to do for other aspects, other kinds of writing.
Okay, so talking about social media, seeing how a lot of people had their breaks from social media, especially poets, yeah. How would you judge the influence
of social
media over writing? Because it's arguably, you could argue that it swings both ways. It's been the positive side of it. There's been the negative side of it, yeah? And then there are different classes of people. At a point, if you remember, there was a name that was coined for certain people. They were called Facebook poets.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would like your thought on that.
The funny thing for me is that I don't even think there's a negative from social media in terms of writing. There's negative in other things, and all the negatives that I can think about are personal negatives. You allow social media to make you be depressed because some people are looking rich, and you're not looking rich. Those are the negatives I see. But when it comes to writing, I don't want to see it as negative, because writing, Facebook, social media makes you to read by force. Most people don't carry, but most people cannot tell you the last time they actually picked some material to say, I want to read. But then just scrolling through their timelines and seeing such short articles by different kind of people can just make them to read partially. So I wouldn't say on the side of the readers, it's helped. On the side of the writers, it helped. You see people writing, you get inspired to write. You write and you see some feedback, it inspires you to write. Not like I have a book of poetry that I wrote from that 90s to 2008. That is full book. It's up to maybe 200 pages of poetry. I've never published any single one of them up till now. They're just in that book. Rhymes of those when I used to write like Shakespeare, they're all in that book, all rhymes. So what's my point? Like nobody has seen them, apart from people that I was showing to then. Those things they're going to die there probably. Maybe one day I'll be able to type them out. But the point is, you write on Facebook these days, you get feedback almost immediately, even if it's 1 like or 2 likes.
So let me cut in here. That's where those who argue that there's a negative side to it, that's where the negativity comes in, so to speak.
How is it negative?
They say the argument is that you get feedback from people who also do not understand the craft. So you get to start thinking that you are made when you are not. So and then it could stagnate your growth. But
the question I'm going to ask those people is, when we did not have social media, when it was just a few professors that know what poetry was, what was happening to poetry? So we rather have this special art that only 20 people understand, or an open art that 5,000 people understand but another 10,000 don't understand? Which one is better? It's better for people to still to understand, because now poets can sell their books to an extent. It's getting better. It's not yet there. It's still it's going. But some years back, a poetry collection, you have to give everything out. You have to share everything out to people. Because who's reading poetry? What the hell is poetry? But people now, it's a common person's art. It should not be a special breed of people that elitist, and that's what it was. That's what it was. Yes. And then when you talk about another thing, you need to look at now. Just name any 5 good Nigerian writers off the top of your head, and I will tell you how they started up from Facebook, from Twitter.
Yes. Most of the contemporary guys now.
All of them, mention them. I will tell you how they started up. Is it Romeo Oriogun? Romeo started on our page. Is it Agarao? Well, it didn't start on our page, but most of them got some kind of awareness and exposure from those pages. Look at EGC, that is not on so much on Facebook. It's not very vibrant again because of that offline. The offline one work, but then if social media is like the what we call amplifier.
Village Square.
Yes, and if you're doing things good offline now, especially now in this age of digital, and you say you want to be an offline writer, do you know there are some very good writers from Nigeria that have written works in different journals that nobody knows about? Nobody knows their name until you hear that they won an award, because they're not. The social media thing is just inevitable. You must stick to it. And we cannot talk about the negatives that are so minimal and then ignore the positives that are so, large and huge.
Okay. So moving on from there, you have a book coming out by Farafina. So before you tell us how we got to at this point of expecting this book, I would like to know how many books have you had so far, and what's your writing process like?
I have 4 books. and I think one of them is an ebook, but the rest are printed. So for my writing, I personally have been writing all my work, posting all my work on social media. Sorry. I'm one of those.
You ate my chicken, that's why.
Yeah, mad. So I'm one of those people who feel like I don't write my work for for future to show people in the future. So people write their works and then it only comes out in a book or in a journal or somewhere. I'm the kind of person who writes and releases, if not all, or part of the work I've written instantly. If you check my wall, you see one verse poems, 4 lines, 6 lines. Immediately I write them, I put them up there because I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to die and then what I'm writing in a book is going to be there. So let me just put it out. People who enjoy it instantly will say, oh, we like it or we don't like it, and that's how I write. So my writing process, there's nothing serious about my writing. I feel like writing for me is like just conversing alone. So it's not anything special. I don't have a special time to write. I can just pick up my phone now and write something. So I could be in an event or anywhere and I just pick up, write up a few things. Sometimes it comes to me in the bedroom and I just keep rehearsing the lines in my head. Like the one I posted on my Facebook today. I went outside and I fell on the tile because it was slippery tiles. And I was just thinking in my mind that this thing is funny. Like something just came to my head that tiles, and how can a rhyme poem come from that? And I wrote, something came up on and I was just rehearsing it till I got into the house. Went on my Facebook and I posted it instantly. I wrote it directly on Facebook. I don't have it anywhere else apart from Facebook. So that's how I write. Writing is not a serious thing for me. It's not something people say where I lock myself in a room and then I drink wine or I smoke. It's not that serious for me. It's just, sometimes some good things come out of it. Sometimes I write something and I'm like, okay, now this is not good, and I throw it away. Okay.
So, Devil's Pawn.
Mm-hmm. Devil's Pawn.
Tell me, first of all, congratulations. And you won $1 million from GT.
Yeah, that's already 2 years now.
I know. I've been looking for a way to corner you. So now that I have you on camera, when are you going to give me my share?
That money, I started spending it that night. There are lots of people who came there who came and expected to win and they didn't win anything. I felt bad, for someone who has been organizing competitions for years. It's a very tough thing to select one person out of a group of people. So that night, when they announced the winner, I took every other person that did not win out. We went to the cinema and a few movies, ice cream, and all of that. So you can imagine how 10 people.
That was a very noble.
No, it wasn't. But
that was a very very humanitarian thing to do. But that doesn't cancel my own share.
Your share has gone.
We'll talk about that. I don't need that to be on camera. I've not gotten my share. Now, let's talk about Devil's Pawn. What's the book about? What are we expecting?
So I can't tell you anything much.
Contractual obligation?
No, because I want you to see it for yourself. I've never talked about any of my books. Talked up my book like, oh, this is a fantastic book or something.
But you've never been on this show.
No,
I'm asking you.
I'm going to tell you. I'm just trying to. So, okay. Like, I feel like this is the only book that. I don't know how I'm going to put it, but this book, it took a lot of me. It took me to the hospital when I was writing it. The book was very real for me writing it. The process of writing it was that's the only serious way. I'm writing a book. All of our books are, I've written a bottle of oil, let me put them together and publish it. But this is actually my first novel and it's my first completed book, even though I have others have finished or maybe draft novels in writing, even the one in longhand. But Devil's Pawn is a story that came out from a short story. I don't know how to talk about it without talking about it. But I promise you that you would, if you make the mistake of opening the first few pages, you would have to finish it. It's not a book you can read halfway.
Give us a synopsis.
I can't. It will kill the fun for you, but what I can tell you is that it's not a thing. Most books you say, oh, this is a book about politics in Nigeria, how politics is dirty. But this book doesn't go that way. It goes through love, it goes through rape, revenge, justice, politics, crime, deaths, and all kinds of supernatural. There's a lot of supernatural things happening because for someone like me who grew up all over the country, they have so many contrasting experiences. In the Southwest, when I was a kid, I saw a lot of spiritual voodoo things. When I was in the North, I saw a lot of things that have to do with religion, have a lot of things that have to do with, the terrains. You will find it. Like, one thing about the novel is you will see, I talked about my locations very clearly. So you will see the North mixed with the South in the same place, because they are my experiences as a person. I feel like a Yoruba person, like an Hausa person, and an Igbo person at the same time. That's the same way the story comes. But when it comes to theme, you cannot pin the story down to one theme. And just a small hint, the whole story happens in a few days. It's a few days. It's not a long, it's not, though there will be some flashbacks, you will see some things that happen, but the whole story itself is just a couple of days.
So can we say that it is a social commentary in an experimental form?
I don't think it's that deep. It's just a story that is wild, unusual in Nigerian setting.
Okay.
So okay. Imagine having Things Fall Apart of Chinua Achebe with say any of John Grisham's novels. And then putting it together at the same time, and then maybe adding There Was a Country at the same. It's not idealistic in any way, but it touches on a lot of things. It's very Nigerian. It's very, very Nigerian. You would not see me talking about investigations like this in America. It's actually very Nigerian to the basic level of Nigeria, but it's as exciting as you can imagine. You see a lot of folk, traditional things. You see a lot of things that are Nigeria, that talk about Nigeria, and you're like, okay, yes, this is Nigeria. But then it's going to be so different from what you've read before. I would advise that don't open it, because if you open it, you'll get to the end of it. in terms of the book itself, from when I wrote it, it was in 2009. 10. Okay, 2009. I actually wrote the main part of it in 2010, though I started it in 2009. It was a short story. It was just a very short story. And then I saw that there was a connection with one of the characters and a novel I had already completed. So I lifted a portion of that story and, built it up into a full story in Devil's Spawn. The idea of Devil's Spawn generally is how people are used by circumstances and by desires, by situations. So it's not just, the whole story is about people being used. All of them are being used by one, whether a good reason or a bad reason. Everybody in the book is being used towards one cause, and then there's a central character who, kind of like runs through all of them, and that's where the conflict comes. There's a lot of conflict. There's so many stories to follow in the book. And then again, it's still just one story, one very simple story.
Okay. Say cheese.
You're mad. Come on, let's continue, Jerry.
Okay. All right. Now we talk about what makes a good novel for you.
It depends on a lot of things. Because my taste in novels is so eclectic. I don't really have a particular kind of novel. I'll say I will read Achebe and love it so much. I will read Grisham, which is different, and love it so much. I will read somebody like Thomas Hardy, old school kind of. So it's just about being able to, a character or characters in the book, I can relate with them. Even if their experiences are not mine, but I can feel what they feel. I want my characters to be so real and believable. So if you say this thing happened in Kano, it should be a Kano-ish kind of story. I don't like stories that contradict themselves. I love it when they really just.
So plausibility is key.
Even plausibility within the context. It may not be real in the real life, but within the context that you have created, within the world you have created, like Avatar, for example, it's not a real world. But within that Avatar world, let it be believable within that world. So you don't mix up things. I see characters that are not consistent. That's one thing that puts me off in it. But when I see a character that's consistent, and then language, like I don't like headache. So I'm reading a book. It's a favor I'm doing by carrying that book. So you now owe me a favor to make me to be able to read the book. I cannot carry a book, and I'm struggling to comprehend. I want the story to be easier on the mind, and I want to see everything that is happening. I want stories that tell me the color of somebody's shoelace. That kind of irrelevant detail can be useful to me, so I can see that person or see the situation. You're telling me about the house. Show me what's happening in that house, not just.
Who does that for you? Yeah, give me a couple of authors, both Nigerian and
like for now, mostly
authors.
Nigerian writers for me. That I've stopped reading a lot of European authors for quite a while now.
Okay.
So I'm going to just stick to Nigerian. So Abubakar Adam Ibrahim, he's like.
Which Abubakar Adam? Whispering Tree.
All of.
He owes me money. I just wanted to put that.
He owes me something too, so he's owing a lot of funds.
He owes you a wristwatch.
Yeah, so
he owes me money.
So he owes a lot of funds. Yes, but Abubakar Adam does it for me. Then
talking about Abubakar, I made and we're going to talk about adaptation. Just remind me.
Okay.
Finish this first.
Judy Dada.
Yeah.
Then what's this guy again? This book about a stranger's pose. I just bought it. Emmanuel Iduma. I have his other book. He does it for me too.
Farad.
Then,
yeah.
Farad. I have Farad. Farad is it's. I don't know why it's not that popular, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The story is epic. Yeah. I love it. Then on the female side, I've not read a lot of female authors. Funny enough, but the old writers like Buchi. I will read a Buchi anytime. Anytime. Any of Buchi's works, just bring it to me. The woman is something else.
Flora.
Then, all of them, Flora. Then, Sefi Atta. Oh my God, woman writes. So, I love a lot of African writers, but my best books are not actually books written now. Apart from Abubakar Adam Ibrahim, he's the only author now I say I'll put on top of every other list of books I've loved so far. But you see people like Festus Iyayi, their works. I love those kind of, I love those books. So African writers, they do me. Actually, African writing, it's so fantastic. I wonder why people don't. Not when I say African, I don't mean Nigerian. I mean African. All the African people like Ngugi wa Thiong'o and all of those. Their works are so fantastic, but we kind of, and they are more relatable than those, foreign materials that we tend to consume more
of. So before we talk about marketing and wrap up, let's talk a bit about adaptation. So I was about to tell you that I actually adapted a story from
Whispering Trees. Oh, which one was that?
For the screen.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't tell me about your book. I'm not going to tell you about it. So we have an ongoing conversation about actually filming that. Then Farad, we had a brief conversation with Richard Ali about turning Farad into a movie, but that was around the period that I had that extended sickness, so couldn't do any of that. And so it's interesting that all of these three writers that you mentioned, I've had one or two things to do with them in relation to adaptation. Jude and I were part of the Ford Foundation seminar about screenwriting, adaptation, and whatnot. Yeah. So, what should we be expecting? First, what do you think about the need, the conversation around we having to see more books make it to the silver screen?
That's very, very.
And then are we to expect Devil's Pawn?
Okay, so let me start with the last question first. So I hope, because when I was signing my publishing contract, I actually excluded movie rights, because I hope to make a movie with it eventually. Like I said, the story, I don't know. I feel somehow talking up the book because I don't talk up books so much, but I love my story so much, and I'm so happy that when he won the prize, the comments by people like Tony Khan, it says he captured the book like so much. I think the best experience from this story would be from a movie or something. The best experience would be, because a lot of things are so fast. It's so fast paced. It happens within, like I said, within a few days, and so many things happen in politics, in religion, in voodoo, in love, in justice. So it's so fast paced that only a picture will, there are some things you can summarize with one scene that you cannot summarize in writing so much. So yeah, I hope it gets into a book. And then coming about adaptations, as someone who is in the creative industry and then in media and communication too, I think it pains me a lot when I watch movies and I see good actors, I see good pictures. So I know they use expensive camera. You see the actors are dressed well. They use the production is excellent. But I'm seeing a story that I want to jump into the screen, carry the actors and slap until their face catches fire.
Producers, not the actors.
So you know one thing, I don't care about the producers when I don't see them. I care about the actor, like someone like say Olu Jacobs, for example. This is a god when it comes to movie, and I'm seeing Olu Jacobs acting a movie where he's a python in a carton and he's moving like a python, and I'm thinking, this man, what is he doing? It's like me seeing Denzel Washington acting some stupid movie, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? This is the same reason why I don't like what this guy who acted Passenger 57 again. What's his name now? He was one of the top, but then he keeps acting trash movies. So coming back to Nigeria, we have so many books with super stories, and these writers are even not very expensive to approach. Some of those books, authors will give you for 1 million or maybe 2 million or 3 million. The good ones will probably give you for 5 million to you turn their movies into because when you make movies from books, the books sell too.
True.
So if you meet me, if I see a serious movie maker that comes to me now and says, I'm going to give you maybe 2 million or something for this book and I'll make it to a movie, I will glad, not just because I want to make money from the book, because if they can say this is my book that was turned into this movie, it gives me clout as a writer myself. But not even for the writer, for the industry itself. For God's sakes, we have some absolutely stupid and silly stories. Sometimes you see 25 movies with the same storylines, just different actors, or even some actors acting in 3 of those movies, and they just replace a few other actors, and it's the same story. A guy is in his university, he's a handsome guy and he has money, his parents have money. He's also a cultist. Yeah. Then he wants to marry this girl by force. Then he rapes her, and then 10 years later he comes back to say, I want to marry you. Or there's this king, he has a son. And then his stepmother, his second wife doesn't want the son to. It's always the same story. But with good production, good pictures, before we complain about the poor pictures, now they have good pictures. What else do you need? How much does it cost to just pick up one of these books and tell the author and say, see, we want to make this into a movie. We don't know about. Give me percentage for production. If you don't want to give me money, give me percentage of the production. Say, okay, we can only give you 1 million now. We can only give you 1 million now, but we'll give you 25% or 10%, 15% of the whole production eventually. So the more the movie keeps selling 25 years after, you keep making money. People will do it. But to carry story, I was speaking with one person who is into the movie industry, and he's also a writer. He has a book. We published one of the books, and he was telling me, I told him that, why is your book not yet a film? He said, even me in the industry, they can pay me 25,000 naira for my book, for my story, because they can actually take it without asking me. So they can actually ask him to come and collect 25,000 naira to use his story. 25,000 naira that will not put fuel in my car for 2 weeks.
In defense of the industry, these things happen, but it happens mostly with the guys, with the old school guys, those ones that we like to refer to as Alaba, Asaba filmmakers, So they are the ones who do most of those things. But there are serious crop of filmmakers, most of my peers, right, that are doing this the proper way. So they actually would approach you and they'll either give you good money or discuss good business with you. I know that Death and I don't know if it's Death and the King's Horse, man. King's Horse, yes. That's Soyinka's Baba Shege's wives are the ones. So again, it's too few, and I feel like they are going that way back. I feel like there are still a lot of even modern recent. We could have lots of. It's a good thing that this is how it started with poetry. Yeah. Initially, nobody cared about poetry, so it now started showing. People started writing a lot, and then it became a normal mainstream art. I feel like this will come, but I just want us to stop. Please, let's stop rehashing the same story and the same actors. Because I watch a movie and I'm like,
is this not the same movie I watched? And then I'm arguing with someone. I say, I've watched this film before. He say, no, they just released this movie. I say, I've watched this film before. Okay, let's find it. We do Google, and then we found the movie. And then we are playing it, and the story is happening the same way, but different producer, different movie title. And then a few of the actors are even in the two movies. Like, what are you I'm sure you still pay those actors. You still do the recording. You still going to rent the camera. You're still going to use location. So why not just use an original story? And just pay the actor. And there are a lot of books, people that there are a lot of writers that will say, use my story and just put it there that it's my story. They will never ask you for money. Yeah. You just make sure that the people know it's my story.
Let's calm down.
I'm agitated because when it comes to movies in Nigeria, you will see movie franchise like Fast and Furious, like Guardians of the Galaxy. You see the story is so different, and it's the same. You know, each Fast and Furious, we go there and watch it. The day it comes out, I go and watch. I always go to the cinema when this next one comes out. I will go and watch it because the story will be unique. It's going to be the story of these guys doing something, but it's going to be different. It's not just the pictures. Forget about the quality of their shots and the action and all those. It's not just those. It's still different. Look at the Avengers and all of those. Look at how every year they are able to turn it. Use writers. And this thing also goes down to the music industry. So it's not just movies. So I listen to some lyrics of some songs. So the beats are nice. I listen to the lyrics and I'm like, Patoranking. So rich and so popular. And this is the lines. So there's one that sticks that is in my head. And something, I know be kagom. I'll be generous. Come on, this is not that. What is the meaning of that?
But you know, let's have this conversation there. Since you are so keen on it, I want to play the devil's advocate here. You look at the market. I've had conversations with lots of experienced producers, both locally and at an international level. So most of the perception, which is backed by the books in the industry, is that Nigerians want to laugh. Nigerians want.
It's not funny.
Nigerians don't want anything. Nigerians don't want anything that's serious and quote. So some of these movies and some of this music and whatnot are in they appeal to a certain demography, the larger demography, so to say, of customers. So that's why they keep churning them out.
So let me say something. I'm not saying you should be Johnny Drill. Johnny Drill is for people like us that will sit down and will have sense to listen to. I'm saying even when you're making music for people that don't have sense, or people that just want to be. No, I'm serious. I'm being serious. And even if you're making music for people that don't want to, I'm saying that the lyrics will be better than I know be akagom, I be generous. Like, do you know that look at Kendrick Lamar. Look at a song like let's say what this song now where he was talking about Damn. Do you remember the lyrics of Damn now?
The album.
Yeah, there's a particular track there, Damn. So I'm saying, like, you will hear the lyrics of the song, even if it is a hip hop song. Even some of this Drake, go to Drake. In fact, let's even come down to Nigeria. We use Two-Face with whack lyrics. He's not singing for the same audience. He's not selling like them. Two-Face is not seen as a king in industry. What about somebody like Samson? Have you ever seen Samson with the whack lyrics? I'm not talking about you singing conscious music. No. I'm not talking about singing classic music. No. That's for Johnny Drill to do. Do you understand?
You do know though that some of these guys, if they were, I'm glad you came down to mention Two-Face and Samson, but because I was going to respond to the Kendrick Lamar thing and ask you that if you think whether Kendrick would sell if Kendrick was in Nigeria, singing, producing his songs here in Nigeria, because
Joko sells in Nigeria.
Could arguably say that's the funny thing. Joko, we listen to some of this really good music by foreigners, but not by our own. We have Mode 9. Mode 9 isn't that mainstream.
No, but we can say the problem of Mode 9 is the same problem with King Sunny Ade or with who would you say, like Anikulapo Kuti, because they came in a period when it was hard to commercialize music. So if Mode 9,
but Mode 9 is still active, at least.
No, so this excuse is what we give for, say, literature. Who reads poetry? Who cares about poetry? Okay, so but over the years now, people are caring about poetry, right? As a publisher, 99% let me say 90% of the books we've published so far all are actually poetry books. Somebody is paying for it, and they're paying good money for it. The thing is, you assume that this is what the industry wants. The same thing they say Nigerians want stupid movies. But 50 came. I went to watch it in the cinema. I don't even go to watch Nigerian movies. I can't even I can't even watch it free on YouTube. But I went to cinema to go and pay money and watch 50 twice. What do they call this? Something wedding. Wedding party. People went to watch it, Abi. The one of that Netflix bought by Lionsheart. People went to watch it. I'm saying that at some point. So how is Two-Face relevant now?
Samson, we're in agreement. I'm only trying to point certain things out.
Yeah, I understand.
So it could shape our conversation. For instance, 50 Fun and Good, Wedding Party did well. So there are other movies like that. And then when you look at the number of people, Nigerians, who actually go to cinema to watch these movies compared to the larger population who would rather watch the movies that you are condemning, there are more. You understand? So it's a growing audience. Again,
it's about access. I was at a seminar during the lockdown about the creative industry, and what somebody said. She said in a country, I've forgotten which country, that is how producers make movies. Instead of them having movies released in the whole theaters, in just a few cinemas, they go to, in Nigeria we used to have these small cinemas where people go to watch movies. Those days they still have them in that country. So like in Nigeria, for example, I'm using that country to be Nigeria, you have like 2,000 cinemas who go to look for pirated movies to show in that place. So instead of even now making them to go pirate, you carry your CD to them and meet them and say, these 2,000 people cinemas, all of you, just give me maybe 200,000, and then show the movie as many times as you want. Now multiply 200,000, or even say 100,000 by 2,000. You've already made up your production money. Is it not true?
Possibly.
So then the rest of the money you sell some few copies. The major cinemas, you will make your profit back. So is that the industry, what is killing all creative industries in Nigeria? All now, I'm coming back to all painting, movies, music. Music is doing. Let's put down a little bit out of people. Books, other kind of art is distribution, marketing. How do we market it? How do we distribute it? When we solve that problem, the quality of what. At some point, have you seen American movies of a long time ago? You see the kind of what they were doing, the acting, where they had to paint somebody black to act black man, because they thought they couldn't find a black man that can act. So it's about we have gotten beyond that point now. We've moved away from bad material. So when they say accident, you see somebody will come and run and meet a car and then fall down and then do like this. Or there's an accident, they do like this, and they will say, we have gone beyond that point. I remember one of the movies that was very popular then. If somebody was robbing a bank, and they were shooting from outside the bank, and the bullet was hitting people inside the bank, and the glass that was separating them was still intact. I wonder whether it was air bullet or I don't know, but it was killing. So we've gone beyond all those points.
Village people.
Yes. So now we can now shoot bullet through glass. Let us also use good stories. Let us use good lyrics. When I say good lyrics, I'm not saying morality. I'm not saying preaching politics. I'm saying that even the lyrics about sleeping with a woman can be more creative than just everybody just say the same thing. Look at this song that just came out. This one, I don't know whether it's Joe Boy or them. I can't even separate all of them again. That say he likes woman. The hair word or something. Like or something like that. There's a song that is popular now. I like it because it's original. I listen to the whole lyrics of the song, and I see that the thing is original. That's what I'm talking about. And this is where the writers come in, because everything I'm talking about is about writers. I'm from the writers community. If you cannot write your songs well, there are poets who can write lyrics for you for your music. Hire them. In UK, you will see a song, one single track. They will put 25 names as songwriters. Why can't you do that in Nigeria? Instead of writing whack lyrics, instead of writing, you have a movie you want to shoot. And I'm seeing some impossible things. I'm like, how can it happen like this? Are you people not living in the same real world that we're living in? Because they don't have people with creative idea, working with them. If not, I don't know why Olu Jacob would be in a silly storyline. Is it hunger or what? Is it that they just needed that 5 million or 2 million, 1 million they pay him? Because it's really crazy. So we have lots of creative people. Hire them to do for projects. Review your manuscript with somebody who is a writer. If somebody like Abubakar Adam now reviews a manuscript for any movie, I know that the movie cannot be worked in terms of the quality of it, because he's going to tell you that this cannot work. This story doesn't hold water. Or somebody like Nnedi Okorafor tells you she's the one that manages the creative. It can't work. It can't be that. It can't work. Or you tell me that somebody like Bash Amoneni looks through the rap of one the lyrics of one singer. You say that lyric will be whack. No. Hire professionals to write.
So I was going to say we'll touch base on marketing, but we've already argued our way into that. When you mentioned the fact that the major problem we have is distribution across board, and I agree with you. So how do we salvage this, especially for literature? Marketing.
Well, we're already doing it. One thing that is killing our industry is that we all want to replicate efforts. So me, I'm publishing, I'm marketing and distributing, I'm creating and all. You too, are marketing and distributing. So you are just limited, and we both have limited resources.
Yeah.
Instead of us to focus on something, that's why we focus on creating books. We will not sell your books for you. Mm-hmm. It's not our mandate. We will make sure that the inside of the book and the outside is good. The text you have written inside is a professional text. While somebody else, we make sure that when we produce that good book, he's going to do the marketing of that good book. That's why people like booksellers, then these other guys, Roving Heights. I love them. I love those two people. They are solving the problem to a large extent for us already. Of course, there are other people. Adam's Page is fantastic, although they are very more Abuja kind of relate. There was Amab. I don't know what's happening to Amab now, but these three people now, Roving Heights, booksellers, and Adam's Pages, for me, Teller Culture used to be great, but man, they are like faded now because nobody goes to that area anymore, I think. So, but there are lots of the online. The solution is the digital one. For example, the cost of publishing is so high. You take a manuscript to a publisher, they tell you to bring 2 million. As of 2013, when I published my book, it cost me almost 400k. That was then. If I add the marketing cost, everything, it was more than 400k. So if you look at dollar rates then, and you move the amount, that's like say maybe 1.5 million. So it was 80 pages. So how many people can just afford to do that? But because of all of the physical structures that involve in publishing a book, which is one of the things that we do in our company, that we don't even want to see you from beginning to the end. We don't have any physical interaction. We don't have any. You will not be doing too much. Come and do this. So that makes it to be able to reduce the cost. So what is going to help marketing and everything is digital. We have to find digital solutions, make people to do more of the digital thing, buy the book by ordering it online, and then it gets delivered to your doorstep, instead of putting it in bookshops where people have. So it's easy for one person to sell to everybody using digital, and for everybody to buy from different places. So I have to move the books all over the country. Do you understand the cost, what that means to the cover price of the book? The book is already 1,000 naira per copy. You add transportation to all those places. 1,2. You now add the booksellers percentage, 2,000. You now add wear and tear of carrying 2,500. So you have to sell the book like 4,000 naira. A book you could have sold for 1,000, because do you understand? Mm-hmm. So those are the things that we need to solve. But the publishers and everybody need to understand that everything is now digital. We must use digital solutions to solve our work.
Do you think that, what would you say is the reason for first, do you agree that there's too much, mostly unnecessary drama in the creative cycle? Then what would you say is the reason for this?
I think there is. I feel like there are some people who are just there to be like dogs in the manger. That's what I think. When sheep eat from manger, dogs like to sleep on it. So you are sleeping on somebody's food and you're not allowing the person to eat. That's what some people do. they don't really do much. That's my only problem with the industry. Some people who don't do much rather than to show that they are experts. And then instead of them to support those who are doing, they kind of like, make it difficult for them to do by criticizing every of their efforts. That's the only problem I have. The industry is still too fragile for us to start picking holes in people's efforts, except of course if it's the dubious effort, which you have a few of them who organize something just to steal money from other people. But if it's not that, why do we focus on this thing you are doing? Are you sure it's
the right thing?
It's no, not even the right thing. The motive. We know you are just looking for clout. Let the person look for clout, but let the thing help the industry. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I have a problem. But otherwise, I think anybody can do what they want to do. Like someone like me, I've received so much of that from 2012 till now. It doesn't touch me because in their past, people who are usually in this kind of found doing this kind of things, they don't have a literary career that is enviable. They don't have a personal career that is enviable. A professional career that is enviable. They don't have anything really that you can say, okay, they are doing it better than me. So you just really, I just tell everybody who is doing something for the art that keep doing it. If anybody is trying to make drama to you around you, just look at the person and look at yourself. You find out that there's really no reason for you to be bothered.
I think that we actually need I think that beef should be beef. I want to use that. I want to borrow it from the music industry. I think it should actually be encouraged. When it wants to happen, it shouldn't be squashed. It should be allowed to happen because it will give at least an added boost.
The only problem is that if you have beef with someone like me, you know you are going to die. So that's where the problem is.
But somebody has to die. Jesus died for.
So
salvation.
When they say beef, and when I say die, I mean not literally die, but I know that especially when I meet people who don't contribute and try to bring them people who are contributing, I can be very brutal. But then again, when you say beef, it depends if you're saying rivalry. That's actually a positive one. So you bring an idea, somebody try to steal it from you and bring a bigger idea, and then you bring another one. But when you just go out, like somebody who is trying to help people or trying to make the industry, and then you go out to bring the person down, maybe bringing in some scandals and bringing up some, I think it doesn't help. It just kills some people's, because the industry is not paying yet. We are working towards it to start paying. So if I'm not getting paid and I'm sacrificing my time and my money, and you still bring me down, you think it's going to make me to want to do more?
Tell me, I'd like to know your thought about practice and what practice represents and what practice does.
Okay, so frankly speaking, Ivy, is this frankly speaking or you want marketing products?
Frankly speaking.
Okay, so I think practice is from the original origin before it became this big, has been one of the innovators in the industry with the chapbook thing. I think you did the chapbook before us, I think, and so those are some of the steps that have helped industry. Everybody needs to come to practice and work with practice. If you're a publisher, you're a content creator of any sort, you are an organization, you're a business, and you're trying to put out, because we're in the world of storytelling now. Every brand has to tell a story, and the better you tell your story, if you don't tell your story, somebody will tell it for you, or you will just be invincible. But if you need to tell your story as a brand, as a company, as an agency, as an individual, if you consider yourself a brand, which you are by right for existing, then I think you need to look at working together with practice. There's a lot to be gained.
Samson, I know you like woman plenty.
Do you?
Is this part of the what people would say writers' excesses or the creative?
So again, you want me to be frank? Okay, so I think first of all, everybody has a vice. Even those people who seem like impossible to be attached to any vice have a vice. So it is a way of, it's something that you do because you have to do something. The people smoke, people drink, people womanize, people do whatever. But for someone like me, I don't know what I'm not a moralist. So I don't know what people call womanizing. I don't even really know what it is. maybe you have to explain it what you think is humanizing for me, because if I feel if someone has a healthy relationship with women, and it's not about violence, or I don't think it's humanizing. Let me explain to you. Like, we have this idea that there's a way people have to behave, but if in your own way, if as a person I meet a woman, for example, and we have an understanding that, okay, both of us are available for each other, and it doesn't last for a long time, does that make me a womanizer? Or is it that is the number of women I've ever had something to with in my life, or is it a number of women in a particular time? Is it a duration thing? So the definition of womanizer may be too broad for you to just pin on me. But if you ask me, do I like women? Yes, I do. I don't like men. If you ask me if I do casual relationship with women, yes, I do, because I'm not married. I feel I can. The only thing that you can ask, if you ask me, is that do I deceive women? No. I would never tell anybody that I am with this person. I'm not with anybody and then be with that person. So if I'm actually with somebody and then somebody else comes in my way, I'm actually going to say, see you, I'm with this person. No. So I don't know what's happening here. So it's about, I think it's about, if something is done honestly between two adults, consenting, I have no business with it.
So basically, you are a consenting ashao.
Maybe you could say that. And that's it, but that's the truth.